whenever I go on Facebook, Twitter, there's articles that are pro Bernie Sanders, and then you go to the comment section, there's like thousands of comments, and it's usually boils down to everyone kind of like there's different types of reactions. The people that say I'm not going to vote for Hillary in no way at all. I'm either going to vote independent or vote for Trump. But then there's the people that are still, some people would call them like in denial. I just think that they're just not giving up. The ones that still think that there's a pretty good chance that Bernie will win. And I happen to think that the math's still feasible. So why give up when there's still a possibility? So what do you guys think about the people that are saying that they're not going to vote for Bernie Sanders if Hillary wins?
I think you're looking at this at that whole issue of those people that are calling out that organized movement. You're looking at it from your perspective as, I guess, as a Democrat, but the majority of these individuals that are calling for the Bernie or bust movement, they're they're independents, and
Well,
so that's why it's so easy for them to say that. And to be honest with you, I don't see them. I don't see it as so far fetched for them to just rally behind Trump if the only two choices are Hillary and Trump, because they're not really Democrats. And I'm talking
well,
about independents right now.
I'm registered independent as well. I don't automatically. I have voted Democratic in the past, but particularly this election, I'm coming to. I have to face a decision, which is, do I vote for um, my political views, or do I vote for the lesser evil and in the process perpetuate this two-party system? Because if you think about it, if everyone votes for the lesser evil every single election
Then
under the fear that you don't want the Republicans to win, then in a sense we're like we're binding ourselves to this two-party system, and it's never going to change. So
But voting for Donald Trump.
no, I'm not saying voting for Donald Trump. I'm saying when the election comes, write in Bernie Sanders' name. Vote for the candidate that you think represents you.
Right.
Yeah,
And
I
that's
mean,
the way. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
that I think that's a better option than just throwing support behind Donald Trump. I think it's better if there is a coalescing movement that specifically calls out for supporting either a Green Party or writing in Bernie Sanders, rather than just throwing some support, the semblance of support behind Donald Trump, because then he's going to be emboldened if he gets all that support.
So that, it's really interesting because first of all, let's talk a little bit about what happened with Nader, because that's what happened with Nader in 2000, and people voted for Nader, and then they gave Bush the election. So that's definitely could happen this time around. Long term, I think that's the best approach. Vote for your ideals, for your values. Now, what about the point that some people are making that if we vote for Hillary, we're essentially voting for the status quo, a third term for Obama, essentially. Nothing changes. But if the people that vote for Trump, this is their argument. If you vote for Trump, you elect Trump so that the system burns, and then you really do bring along real changes afterwards.
Well, let me pick up on that, because I don't think we're talking about the Bernie or bust movement. I don't think that they're thinking in terms of changing the dynamic of how the system is working if they allow a Trump to go into the presidency. I think their more immediate goal is to just spite the democratic process, to just and specifically the Democratic Party, because they're not listening. Since the beginning of the nomination race, they've been doing everything in their power to throw a wrench in the gears of the Bernie Sanders campaign, whether it was by not having enough debates in the beginning, or look at all the super delegates that have already pledged for Bernie. I mean, she is the establishment.
You mean all the super delegates that have pledged for Hillary?
For Hillary,
Yeah, that have pledged for Hillary, and I mean, so early into the race. I mean, the whole establishment has been behind Hillary.
Yep.
Even though, and this is one of the points that the Bernie or bust movement people like to bring up, that consistently all the polls show that Bernie Sanders would do a lot better against any of the GOP nominees. And so they're fed up They just don't get it. They don't understand why they keep trying to ram Hillary Clinton down their throats. And so I mean that so in the immediacy, that's all they care about. If they abstain from voting or if they vote for a third party or even for Trump, they want to send a clear message. And I think we're about due for something like that, something big.
I've definitely seen both uh, people with both views. Some expressing the fact that the party's not listening to them, that they've shown their true colors more than anything this election. I mean, look at the super delegate count, like you were mentioning. They every time they show you the delegate count, they always throw Hillary Clinton. They always attach the super delegates to Hillary Clinton's count to make it seem like it's just not a race anymore. When those super delegates, they change their vote based on like whatever direction the wind is shifting, whichever candidate is more popular, just like they did 8 years ago with Obama. But I've also seen other people. I've also seen other, and this is just me. I'm not having conversations with these people. I'm just like reading the comments, reading the articles, engaging some people in the comment section, and some of them are really saying we'll just vote for Trump because that'll bring about such a drastic change that short term it may seem like a bad thing, but there will be this there'll be such a backlash to a Trump presidency that it'll actually bring about more progressive, more actual change in the long term.
Unfortunately, the drawback with that plan is that as we know that anytime any president makes either stupid or not conscious decisions, it affects us for many years. So I mean we are still affected by some of the policy changes that Ronald Reagan made.
That
so
Clinton
I just
made,
imagine, and even Bush, the first President Bush, and all it takes is one term to really mess things up for a very long time. And as I mentioned before too, it's like the thing about voting for Hillary, which I'm not saying you should or shouldn't, but the thing is with Hillary is that it's a third term for Obama, or it could be seen as something that's just stagnant. Nothing's really going to happen. I think you're right. More of the same old is going to occur. And with Bernie Sanders, I think there will be substantial hope, or that something will occur, something will happen, and at least it will send a message. But the way I see it is that I'd rather have nothing done, stagnant, than gamble and throw that vote away.
Is voting independent? Do you consider that throwing the vote away as well? Because essentially you're taking away a vote from Hillary.
Now a third option like Bloomberg. Yeah, I know he's not running anymore, but Bloomberg, let's just say Green Party. You can send a message, but we've dealt with that already. We've dealt with that in when was it, in 2000 when Bush got elected. So we have to be very careful and trying to send a message, because again, unfortunately, one term is all it takes for us to suffer the consequences.
But this is why I wanted to talk about this issue, because I think that if not in the present, then when? Because 4 years from now, there's going to be the same two candidates, Democrats and Republicans, and it's going to be the same argument.
The difference between now and previous elections is the awareness of people. I mean, there are a lot more people who are involved in the process, in both sides, and even the media has even has also brought up the point that there are those independent voters who traditionally that were considered independent but voted towards Republican, are now willing to vote for a candidate like Bernie Sanders.
Yeah, they're saying that too. Yeah.
But see, the problem. See,
and what I was going to lead to is that because more people are aware, 4 years from now, if those things are not if the things that she's promised, if the things that both candidates have talked about aren't even in the process of being dealt with, I think in the masses people are going to be really upset 4 years from now.
No, but see, I guess that's the part that we're not talking about, which is people are already at that state of mind because of Obama. Because of when Obama came in, he was promising a lot of things, and also the politics in the United States is really, it's fascinating. It's really strange because politicians are elected based on what they're saying, not based on what they've done. So right now, Hillary Clinton could say everything that she wants to say to win the vote. She'll say that she's against mass incarceration for Black people,
However,
that she's against deportations. But she's gonna get into the office, and just like Obama, they're probably gonna keep deporting people. I don't know if they're gonna change the criminal system to be so heavily slanted against Blacks. So no, I know, but what I'm saying is that these politicians run under a platform, and then they get into office, and then they don't deliver. And Obama didn't deliver. He didn't get us out of the wars. If anything, he started more wars. He didn't close Guantanamo Bay. He deported people. Yeah, he passed deferred action for illegal immigrants, but that was a very calculated political move that he did before he ran for presidency for his second election. So the problem is that here we are, 20 years later of democratic policies. And all the while, us voting for Democrats because they're the lesser of two evils, they've gradually shifted and they've gradually become Republicans.
Yes.
So we no longer have a true Democratic Party. We have a Republican Party, which is now the Democrats, and a right-wing party, which is Trump's party. So now, in 4 years from now or 8 years from now, we're going to be voting for the right-wing party because that's the lesser of the new evil that's going to come along.
I do agree. If Clinton does get elected, I think she's going to move the country even further to the right in terms of war and foreign policy and Wall Street and other issues. So we're essentially going to move into like a one-party system.
I am a Bernie Sanders supporter. I wish that the math was reversed, but the truth is that and Bernie Sanders has a rich history in fighting against these injustices that we're facing, and and some of these problems that we have in this country. But that's not to say that he gets elected, in November and January, everything's going to change. I think that one of the problems that we have here is that just about half the country does not want to change. And if you
I don't know if that's true. Hold on. I don't know if that's necessarily true, because see, the problem is that you give people in this country the vote. You give them the vote and you give them the sense that they're in control of their destiny, and then you buy out all of the you buy out the narrative, all of the industries that deliver the messages, and then those industries sway public opinion. So essentially, the people are given a vote, but then they're manipulated through the media, like we were just talking about earlier in terms of Bernie Sanders, that they don't give him his fair share.
If you're manipulated by the media, you're manipulated by the media. I mean, that doesn't mean that you're thinking freely. I mean, if you're slave to the idea, whichever idea it is, whether right or left, I mean, that's what you feel. And I really do believe that this country is split. It's split. I mean, if we had 100%, unfortunately, we don't have 100% of the vote participation in this country. Therefore, we can't say, and truly, we can't say that, how issues are deferred between the population. But from people who vote, and the statistics would tell you that most cases, it's when it comes to these two parties, the votes are split 47-47, and then the rest are the rest are we're just trying to fight for. It doesn't. I don't think this country, this population, wants to change just yet, and that's the problem. So with that said, if Bernie were to take office in January, I can't say surely that oh yeah, everything's gonna be fine, we're gonna be progressive. I just can't say that. Why? Because we had 8 years where we tried to move just a little bit to the left, and we can't seem to get beyond that. And even with this election, it's proven to me that we still have trouble trying to move to the left because we consider a nominee like Hillary Clinton to be left when you and I and everyone in this panel believe that she is not to the left. She's more right than anything. But unfortunately, people are just not ready for that, and then they try to marginalize it. Well, those are just college
Well, hold on though, but
students.
you're saying that people aren't ready for that. But that's again, I go back to what I was saying, which is the people only know what they're being told. And so to say that people aren't ready, they haven't made a decision not to be ready. They don't
No,
even
I think
realize
they
it.
have.
I don't think so because
When every time you turn on the TV, every time you turn on the news, you're making a decision to listen to whatever outlet you're listening to. And I agree with you that there is a manipulation, but just because there's manipulation doesn't mean that it's so.
That's
If you're
not
manipulated to believe in A, then you're going to believe in A.
that's not necessarily true. I think this starts very early on in elementary school. We're not necessarily given the tools to think critically in this country.
If
Now,
we're not given the
I've
tools, you
gone
don't
to
have the tools.
I've
That's
gone to
and
school in the U.S. and I've gone to school in France, and I can tell you that the difference in the way the students think critically is so different.
but sorry,
But
sorry to interrupt, guys,
but
because I want to get a little bit back on topic.
Okay,
I understand what you're saying, Mike. I think what you're saying is that the people don't have the capacity right now. The ones that do end up getting stuck to Fox News and to MSNBC and to CNN, just hearing that narrative and basing their decisions based on that, they don't have the capacity to really venture out of that and think a little bit more on their own, and
to
therefore
analyze
the
situation
right, and
critically.
therefore because of that, you could make the argument that yeah, as a country we're not ready. But it's not necessarily that they're not ready because they believe in those policies. Is that we're not ready because
We're
they
not
don't have
prepared.
the ability to break out of the
We're
the system of manipulation that's
exactly
manipulating
we're
them.
not we're not equipped with the tools.
that's exactly my argument, and you just hit the nail on the head. I
Mm-hmm.
mean,
Yeah, no, I was trying to say that because I want to go back to
Oh,
sorry, I was trying to say that because I want to tell you that I agree with you because I wanted to go back to our initial point, which is the strategy that if we keep voting for Hillary, I think short term it does us good because we preserve the status quo and we don't go to an extreme, which is the Republicans. But I think
long term it's
I
gonna
think
hurt us.
I think we need to stop thinking very short term and think about the future generations. So we may have to sacrifice our generation for the benefit of the future generations because if we don't do this in 16 years, in 20 years, we're going to be stuck with the same two-party system, as opposed to really voicing and expressing our discontent with the Democrats because they haven't represented us. So
it's very scary. I think that what you're saying, I get it. Because if we, the four of us, vote for Donald Trump,
no, I'm not saying vote for Donald Trump. I'm saying vote independent.
Independently, or other than Hillary Clinton, we will. Yeah, we can send a message. We can.
If everyone voted their principles and their ideals instead of voting for their fear, the fear of not having a Republican, long term, that's better for society because then individuals have conviction and they're not just voting for the Democrats because they're the lesser of two evils. So long term, that has a positive benefit. And so selfishly, if we just want to preserve the situation that we live in, whatever comfort we may have right now, then yeah, go ahead and vote Democrat.
Right.
But if you're actually thinking long term, this is not a system that you want to sustain because it ties us to this two-party
Right.
system. And then we gradually get shifted to the right, so that
Unfortunately, it's happened before, and you mentioned 16 years from now. 16 years from now, we will still be facing consequences from a Ronald Reagan administration, from George Bush, from Clinton, from Bush 2 terms, and even from Obama. We're going to be facing those same issues 16 years from now, and that's the. And I'm not saying that you're wrong because it's a really good argument. It is a good argument. It's just that let me give you the side the fear behind it. There is a legitimate fear behind it, and I'm expressing that right now. Is that if a president who, let's just say we vote third party whatever, and it doesn't favor Hillary, okay, but it's going to favor somebody, and I promise you it won't be the third party. let's say it favors Trump.
Trump. Yeah.
Yeah, it will favor Trump.
And
So right now
we're gonna have in with the crisis and with supposedly with ISIS and with Russia and stuff like that. You know, a year after George W. Bush was elected, we went into Iraq. We had, you know, the 9/11 and we know the rest.
Yeah, but look. I mean, look. Obama came in and he started more wars than Bush. So these two parties are just two sides to the same coin. That's what I'm trying to say. And
Yeah.
if today you vote for Hillary Clinton instead of independent because of the fear of a Trump
you're
presidency,
just propagating the two-party system.
in 4
Yes.
years there's going to be two candidates that are terrible as well, and you're going to be using the same
Right, and
argument.
you're going to be stuck choosing for the lesser of two evils, right? So
Yeah.
there is a new statistic that I just found on the internet, and I wanted to know what you guys thought about it. So 33% of Bernie supporters will not vote for Clinton. So 33%, that's a significant number. So obviously, if they don't vote for Clinton, they might vote independently, or they may vote for Trump. So that's gonna trump the favor. I mean, that's gonna
Douche.
Yeah.
that's gonna
That's a good one. That's a good one.
they're gonna trump that's gonna tip the
Trump the
favor.
Trump.
Yeah.
You're confusing me. That's
Okay.
gonna,
Yeah. Hey,
that's gonna put the favor
It's
to
the same word, Trump.
yeah.
It's not confusing.
So here's, yeah, and so exactly. Go ahead. Sorry.
So I just wanted to get your insights on that. Like, what do you guys think about people actually adhering to their core ideals and their principles over the power and party loyalty, even though that means sacrificing the election to Trump?
I'm not sure that they're Democrats to begin with. I think those 33
Yeah.
percent of the Bernie supporters, I think those are independents. But the number might be a little bigger. I mean, if you've been following the Bernie or Bust movement pledges, I think it's up to 60,000 right now.
Mhm.
And the point I wanted to make is that it seems like Mike, you're coming from a side where you know, it's a bit accusatory in terms of not taking, you know, the full scope into consideration if somebody were to do that. But you need to understand that these people, for them, it's a worse kick in the face what the Hillary supporters are doing right now, because she's not a real progressive.
Right.
Mhm.
She's not even a real Democrat, and
Exactly.
even now, everybody is backing her in such a way
Mhm.
that is it's very damaging to a democratic process,
Mhm.
because they've never even afforded Bernie Sanders a fair shake
Mhm.
at a nomination contest. And so if there's a Hillary supporter that wants to throw scorn on Bernie supporters who are doing that, they need to look at themselves as well, because they're the ones that are causing this whole dilemma,
Mhm.
because they're not really thinking about what could be a real progressive um, nomination, I guess.
Mhm.
And like I said earlier, the polls show that Bernie performs better than Hillary. Hillary, she's got baggage, she's damaged, and
Right. Yeah.
I think Trump, even without the support of the Bernie pledge, like if they vote for Trump or not, I think Trump is gonna he's gonna attack her on those issues
E-
where
Exactly.
she's flawed, and not to mention, Mike, she's under investigation by the
Yes.
FBI at any moment.
They can
Any
indict
moment.
her, and
Yeah, exactly.
she's actually prohibited to run
And so
for office if she's proven guilty.
Mhm.
yeah,
So then what
But she,
happens,
but she,
right?
but she won't. She won't be proven guilty. I don't think so. You know,
if she's indicted,
there's what voters are we talking about? Because there are the
You're talking about
Republican
me right here.
voters.
Wait, hold on, Mike.
Well,
You don't have to go that far. You're talking about me because I'm a registered independent, and
Mhm.
I'm seriously thinking about not voting for Hillary.
But hold on, there's Republican voters, there's independent voters who say independent but vote Republican, and then there are those truly independent voters who are not afraid to vote for a third party. There are those Democratic voters who will they're diehard and they will vote for any. It doesn't matter who they'll vote for the Cookie Monster if he was Democratic. Just and unfortunately, and I know you brought up some stats, and I don't know where the stats come from, but there are a young generation that's coming. They're supporting Bernie Sanders, college students and fairly young millennials, and a lot of them they don't have ties to the Republican Party or the Democratic Party.
Well, we're all millennials.
Not all of us.
Yeah, we are.
I think
Millennials is like 1980s and above.
But,
1980s to
No,
2000.
but that's also a mistake to assume that Bernie supporters are just a specific demographic, because he's getting support from a lot of different segments, and all
in
it
general,
takes
in general,
yeah.
You're right. I mean, because he does have he does have he in the spectrum of voters he's across. Actually, I would even argue he's more across in the spectrum than Hillary is. Unfortunately, there are those older voters, those diehard Democratic voters who will vote for any nominee who they think deserves it, who they think has already earned it, and therefore the argument of who has more experience is used, which I think it's not valid. It's invalid. And when it comes down to voting, when you're in that booth and you're trying to make that decision, another factor kicks in, which is fear and doubt.
Right.
It's like, oh my God! It's like, who am I going to vote? Am I really going to vote for this guy?
Especially if you don't know like the outcomes, right? That's
but and it's funny because I agree with what all of you guys are saying, that if we just continue to with the same pattern, with the status quo, then nothing's gonna be changed. Unfortunately, and this is my argument, and this is someone I've been making for a while now, is that unfortunately a president who goes in there and is just pig-headed can make awful decisions that we're going to pay for 30 years from now.
Yeah, but
my children are going to pay.
But you're essentially just trying to justify why you are going to vote your fears.
No, that's not justified. That's just the truth. I mean, that's just a pattern. I mean,
but this is let me say something with Trump. You have like overt racism. He's just like outspoken. He lays all of his cards, and he pretty much like speaks out of his ass. And to me, he's putting up like this clown show. He's like throwing shit up against the wall and seeing what sticks, what people respond to. Like that's my perception of him. But with Hillary, you really don't know what's going on with her. Her policies, like Dario mentioned, she's under FBI investigation because she has, there's the email scandal. There are a lot of government documents, hundreds of government documents that she has destructed. So that leads to the question, like, what is she hiding? So she claims to be like this progressive politician, but in reality, she's not. So what's worse, like this overt racist, or like this
I did say the other day, and by the way, I'm not supporting Trump, and I don't want my words to be misinterpreted in any way. I'm just looking at this as objectively as I can. Trump will tell you that he's going to deport every single Mexican, and he'll probably end up deporting a few thousand, a few 100,000 max, because he needs to build coalitions. He needs to go against a lot of different interests to actually get that done. Especially corporations in America benefit from cheap immigrant labor. And so for him to actually build a coalition to get that done, it's almost impossible. Hillary is going to tell you that she's not going to deport any Mexican, any immigrants, because that's what people want to hear right now. That's what will get her the votes.
Exactly.
And then she'll quietly deport almost the same amount that Trump is probably going to deport. So I'm not too concerned. I'm not too interested in actually debating the merits of both of these politicians. I think we understand where they stand. I want to talk about hold on.
But they're both.
No, but I want to talk about the philosophical question of, if people always vote because of fear of the other candidate, then you never bring about change. And so if this 33% of people that say that they're not going to vote for Hillary if Bernie loses, if they vote independent this year, then hey, guess what? In 4 years from now, an independent candidate is going to see those results and is going to say, hey, I may have a real shot here. Because 4 years ago, 18%, 20% of the overall population voted for Bernie, an independent.
Right.
And not only that, the local elections too. Local independents that before would have been afraid to say, we all need universal health care. We need to make college more affordable. We need all those things. Before, that would have been a death sentence had you mentioned those things because you would have been labeled a socialist. Now they have some breathing room where they can actually put forth these policies, a specific platform that's like, because Bernie is laying out the blueprint. Now, if the voters go and they vote independent and they say they send the message that they do support these things, that the nation wants them, even if it's a small percentage, it's a positive. Despite the fact that it's going to suck if Donald Trump becomes president.
Right.
But look, we always talk about this as well. Even if Bernie Sanders were to get elected, what kind of coalition is he going to be able to build? What kind of changes is he going to be able to bring along? Because the House of Representatives and the Senate is not going to go along with a lot of his policies. The same thing with Trump. Like I said, Trump is going to get in there and he's going to try to do a million things. The president is not a dictator. He has to go through like the procedure, right? And so what's he really going to do? I mean, people are getting attacked because of Trump right now, and that's really unfortunate. And that's really what sucks. I wish that wasn't happening because I'm going to tell you, if people weren't getting hurt because of Trump's like overt racism, then let him get into office. Let him build his stupid wall. Because once they build that wall, you know what they're going to do? All of these corporations are going to come around and they're going to say, oh, we actually need like tens of thousands of like undocumented illegal immigrants for cheap labor. And then they'll just pass policies to bring them in anyway, because this country benefits from immigration. So when you actually look at these things objectively, both of these guys, from my point of view, Hillary or Trump or Sanders, they're going to get into office and they're not really going to be able to bring about a lot of change. But Sanders does set the blueprint for what is socially acceptable now in this country. And I think that's a positive. And if people vote independent and they vote and they write in his name, I think has a huge benefit in the future. That's my stance.
For me, I would vote I would stick to my core ideals and my principles. So I wouldn't vote for Hillary. I wouldn't vote for Trump either.
I mean, what if we don't have a good third option?
And I wouldn't vote for Trump. So
you would just abstain?
Yeah, I would abstain. And I do understand that by me abstaining, that might give the edge to Trump. But I'm okay with that. That's not your fault. Yeah, I'm okay with that because I don't want to be cornered into a situation where I have to give my vote to a candidate who I don't agree with, whose policies I strongly disagree with.
Yeah.
And I don't know what's going to happen if Trump gets into office, but you know what? Let it rattle the system, and whatever is going to happen is going to happen. But I think that we cannot be paralyzed by fear.
When you're stuck in a hole, I've heard, I don't know if this is true, when you're stuck in a hole, I've heard that you're not supposed to continue digging.
But this isn't digging. You don't understand that this is laying the seeds for that tree that will ultimately grow, and you can climb your way out of that hole.
This is building a ladder, Mikey.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's just my personal opinion.
Right.
And
I think my metaphor was better, Dario.
No, I like Dario's metaphor better. I'm sorry. I like the building the ladder to get out of the hole.
Not planting the seeds.
Everything sounds very pretty. Let's all sit down and do mindfulness exercises now.
Because you're thinking about it from a very short term benefit, Mike.
I think in this side, in this situation, we can't afford to be short sighted. We actually do have to think long term.
But see,
there are going to be sacrifices that are going to be.
Psychologically, the country is not ready to move, and it's even more evident now with how the things are turning up. If Bernie was leading the nomination for the Democratic Party, my argument would be different. Fortunately, the country is not ready for whatever reason, and it could be, and I do believe it's manipulation from the system and the media, but the country is not ready. So 16 years from now. Who's to say that the country will be ready or not? But we can't. I mean, we're trying to force these things, and I give you guys credit for for thinking like that, and that's great. And even for saying that I'm thinking short sighted, guys. If you look at the past, when the country is not ready to move, it's not going to
Okay,
move,
let me stop you right
and the
there.
leadership is
No,
not going to.
okay, let me stop you right there, Mikey. Because nobody is saying that you're short-sighted, because up to this point, like,
I said that.
Wait, he's
oh,
like,
well,
the
okay,
three of you guys said that.
no,
The three of you
no,
guys
no,
said
I just
No,
said that we
I'll
can't.
loan it. I'll loan it. I
No,
said
I
it.
didn't say that, but let me go back to what you said about like the country is not ready to change. When has change been accepted so readily?
Listen,
There has
when
always been resistance to change.
there always, yes, that's true.
Always.
There's always
And
been
you
resistance
have
to
to,
change.
you have to start somewhere.
But
You
do you
have
know
to
where it
fight. You
changes?
have to make sacrifices
In
to
this
move
country,
forward.
do you know where it changes in this country? I'll tell you where it changes from this country. When it's a white, male, middle class Christian or Protestant.
I don't know.
That's where it changes.
I don't know. Look, the movements, the real change comes from the bottom up. And so the problem right now is that the corporate media, the people that control the narrative, are resisting the change. So I think it's really difficult to say that the people are not ready for change, because I keep going back to what I said earlier. The people don't really know any better, because they're just hearing. They're just
Therefore, they're not ready for the change. I mean,
Yeah,
if
no, Mike, I gotta disagree with you right there, because I think you're just focusing on the Democratic side of the population and
Mhm.
potential voters, but you're forgetting that Trump is very popular because he's running against the system as well. So
Mhm.
you take the popularity of a Bernie Sanders and you take the popularity of a Donald Trump, and there you have a very sizable chunk of the U.S. population who are
Wait,
change.
but with individuals and with groups. With individuals, an individual can come to the office and say, I need therapeutic services. Okay. He or she's having difficulty, whatever, daily functioning in life. They're there. And as a therapist, you're supposed to facilitate a change, a positive change the goals that they want. So they lay out the goals and say, look, these are the goals that I want. It doesn't mean that this person from 1 to 5 sessions is going to meet those goals or that change. They may want that change, but they may not know how. And I know we agree on that. They may not have the tools, but just because they don't have the tools, I argue that they're not ready for that change. And the same thing is applied to groups.
No, but okay, it just like that's really unfair.
This is true. This is
That's
nature.
really no, that's really unfair for you to say that, because I really do believe that we're in that stage, and I don't know if I'm being idealistic, where we can diagnose our situation, and we can identify those barriers that
There is nothing wrong. First of all, I don't know where and I have a problem with this, because you're not the only ones. I've heard it before. There is nothing wrong with people not wanting to change, okay? And there's nothing wrong with people wanting to change but not knowing how to change.
Hold on, though.
But that's how we function.
I know, but if I may, though, hold on, though. So here's the problem, though. I understand what you're saying, that people are not ready for change. The problem is that what you're really talking about is people's ability to detect that they're being manipulated. And so it's really hard for entire masses of population to detect that, because the system is so sophisticated that it's very transparent. Just like I was saying earlier with the newspapers, that they don't come out with 20 negative articles against Bernie Sanders. They come out with 9 good articles against Bernie Sanders and 11 bad ones.
I have to interrupt, because I agree with you, but you're ahead. We're still at wanting to change, and and that's the thing about change, is that you're absolutely right. I
hold on, though. Let me finish my point, though, before I lose it. The problem is that what you really need to change in order to you're not really going to be able to change people's ability to understand that they're being manipulated, because the system is very sophisticated. What you need to do, you could do it, you can try, but you're only going to reach a certain amount of people. More people are born each day that are going to be susceptible to manipulation than the people that wake up, if you want to call it that. So what you want to focus on is the messengers, the people that are delivering the propaganda. And so if you never bring about any other social movements like a Bernie Sanders movement that tells people, hey, there's an alternative to what the media has been telling you all along, if you never bring that about, if you never bring that other message, then the people will never actually change. So you have to give people alternatives, and you have to like talk to them so that you can get them to snap out of this like one-sided narrative that they keep hearing. That's why we need to give them another message
Exactly.
apart from what they're hearing from the mainstream media.
My argument is just that people are never ready for change. There's always resistance to change. But I'm really sorry, Dario, for interrupting you. What was the last point that you brought about?
A lot of the narratives that I see online about the Bernie or bus movement, either abstaining or writing him in if he doesn't make the nomination, is that they criticize them for taking that stance, and one of the criticisms that they levy against them is that they're able to make that claim or that pledge, or even make that choice because they have privilege. Now, that's ridiculous, because in the long run, these are the people who are looking out for the interests of the whole population, especially the people who are underprivileged. If anything, the ones that are adhering to a Hillary Clinton nomination, those are the ones that don't want anything to change, as you were saying. Those are the ones that are complacent. Those are the ones that are not necessarily hurting. If they're not thinking progressively, those are the ones that we really need to hold accountable when the time comes, when a Trump presidency is in full effect. Those are the ones that really need to feel that they let the party down, that they let the people down, not the people that are pledging to cut off their noses to spite their face. I think there's great power in that. I mean, it sounds dumb, it sounds ridiculous and childish, but there's a lot of power in that, because the people that are campaigning and they're blind allegiance for Hillary, even though they know that she's got so much baggage. I mean, it's ridiculous. They're not thinking, they're not really weighing the two options. So I think they need to be held accountable more so than the other people that are gonna abstain or even vote for Trump.
That's
in my opinion.
That's a really good point that you bring up, Dario, and I don't think it's childish at all. I I agree with you, and I actually hadn't thought about it. I was like so caught up with like these 33% of the voters that are not going to vote for Hillary. But you are right. Like the ones that are voting for Hillary, those are the ones that should like be held accountable and that should be criticized.
Yeah, I mean,
that's a really interesting perspective.
They should, but how do you propose we should do that? Because Hillary voted for the war, and it seems like she's being rewarded. George Bush took us, Dick Cheney. They lied to us, and they're vacationing. Dick Cheney shot his friend in the face, and he's not in jail. I mean, in theory, you guys, that's a really good point. It's like we should, and I've always felt like that. It's like well, you voted for the MF. But it's like once you vote, you vote. That's also it's like it's like then we're really threatening on our civil just liberties. I mean, if we vote, and if I voted just to say for Hillary Clinton and it backfired, what's the punishment? What are you guys gonna do to me?
History is the one that's going to judge the past generations.
I agree.
And if anything, it's going to be our kids and our grandkids that are going to may suffer the consequences.
Just like I blame, and if we have any baby boomers listeners, I hope you don't take any offenses, but I do blame some of this stuff that's going on some of the baby boomer decisions they made in the 80s.
No, it's true. For the way I see it, what Bernie is, the one benefit that can come of his run for the presidency, and this is why I think that he should go all the way out till June, till California and the other, I think there's 3 other states that vote June 7th. He needs to go out because he's going to energize local elections. and he's going to make it
Yeah.
possible for true progressives to run in local elections, because that's really how you change things.
Right. So he's paving the way.
He's paving the way, and he's making it acceptable. There's no point at all for him to drop out right now. He's raising a ton of money. I donated $25 to his campaign yesterday. Even this
Is that the 6th time you've done that?
third. Despite the fact that the media is telling everyone that he's done, right? Look,
$25?
yeah, I mean, his average donation, actually no, it's 27. His average donation is 27. That's a default.
Yeah, actually, I donated too.
Yeah, I think he should definitely fight this till the end. I think the media is trying to convince people to abandon ship.
On a positive note, he is actually showing our generation what progressives look like, what they sound like, what they say, and what they believe in. And it's just not. And one of the things that I've learned is not what you say now, but it's what you did when you were marching or getting arrested and so forth. I mean, so that's to me that's the beauty in all this, is that now I know what a progressive looks like. I know what it sounds like, what he or she sounds like.
He's changing the narrative.
And yeah, exactly, he is changing the narrative. And I would have loved to, and I think I texted that this. I would have loved to see Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren in the same ticket, but it's not over though. It's not over.
Not if you consider that he's pretty much cutting a path through a true progressive. If he doesn't make it this time around, he's cutting a path for a true progressive to come after 4 years of whoever disappointment, Trump or Hillary, and maybe an Elizabeth Warren runs in 4 years, and then we'll have a true progressive in the White House.
Assuming the country's still here after 4 years.
By the way, another. I guess we could say this for a different topic because we ran out of time. I bet.
Hey, I was talking to one of my cousins. One of my cousins in Florida. I don't know if he was doing this tongue in cheek. I'm pretty sure he was, but you never know. But he said he was for Trump and he wanted Trump to build a wall so he could get a job. I thought that was pretty funny. He'd hire a lot of people.
Unfortunately, he probably want a union, and that's not going to fly.
It's a good conversation. I think we should leave it at that. All right. Thanks for the input. Any last words from you guys? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to just abruptly end it like that.
Yeah, I do. I think that as I mentioned at the end, that that there is a positive out of all this, and is that at least our generation is starting to see that can really see now again what a progressive looks like.
I just want to echo a very, very defining sentiment that I found online. I found it here and there, but it was along the lines of if you vote for Hillary, and if you call yourself a progressive and you vote for Hillary, then you deserve to be ruled by King Trump.
Interesting.
It's pretty good. There was another one that said, "Today I went to McDonald's and they didn't have any hamburgers, so I ate 20 scorpions."
That's pretty stupid.
Which is kind of echoing how a lot of people feel about this burn or bust movement, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, though, again, these are issues I'm still working my way through. I'm trying to make sense of them. The election is not for another for a while, and so we'll see.
California's next week, isn't it?
Yeah, the primary. I'm talking about the general election. California's in June 7th.
June 7th.
Oh.
So it'll be interesting. There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff to cover. There's a lot to talk about. So we'll keep talking about these guys, and the campaign will evolve, and so will our stance in where we stand with these things. All right.
If I don't actually shoot somebody in the face, then I'll change my stance.